Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining the CCDEH Data Summit. I introduce you Chris Hunley from Sacramento. He's going to be talking about their portal. Go ahead, Chris. Take it away.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. As Jill said, my name is Chris Hunley, and I work in a cross-connection control program here at Sacramento County Environmental Management. Today, I wanted to go over our new cross-connection web portal. And in doing so, I'm going to give you a bit of some background on our program, generally speaking, as it applies to public health, some of the challenges that we have faced in implementing our program, the solution or the portal, and then covering the development and implementation of the portal. There will also be an online demonstration of the portal today. If you have any questions, please let me know. Before I dive into the portal itself, I want to give you some background on what a cross-connection control program is and how it applies to protecting public health. Cross-connection control programs protect the public drinking water supply from backflow contamination. Well, what is backflow? Under normal operating circumstances, water leaves the drinking water supply treatment plant and it's pushed out into the distribution system. And as it's leaving the plant and going to our homes and businesses, it goes in a certain way. So when you turn on the tap or you flush the toilet, there's going to be water present. Backflow is a term that's used to describe the reverse flow of water in the distribution system. That can happen through a variety of different ways. Some of the more common ones are when a water main breaks, or there's a fire and there's a lot of heavy usage of water. And in this particular slide, you can see that when you have a lower or a zero pressure at one point in the system, everything that is in that vicinity is going to be drawn to that area. When that happens, you have a backflow incident. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, in their 2007 and 2008 waterborne illness study, there were 36 different water-related illness incidents. Out of those 36, 2 of them were related to a backflow contamination incident. And in this slide here, it's really just a graphic to show what one of those incidents included. There was a dinner cruise boat. People, are out there on a romantic dinner, if you will. Unfortunately, when the boat was tied up at the dock and getting their water supply for the evening, there was a cross connection. And some back siphonage of the lake water was pulled into the boat supply system, and a lot of people were exposed to Giardia, Cryptosporidium, and became sick. Here locally, there was an amusement park, a mini golf course that had some bumper boats. And in this slide, you can see, you go around, you're there with your friends or your parents. Well, that water was dyed a Windex blue for dramatic effect, or TV blue, if you will. There was a booster pump at that particular site, and no backflow protection assembly. Unfortunately, that on-site pressure was greater than the community's drinking water supply, and that TV blue water got pushed back into the surrounding community. Businesses and homes were affected, and when folks went to turn their water on, you had something that looked like Windex pouring out of the faucet. When they did the investigation and traced back, they found out that that golf course site did not have backflow protection. What do we do? What does the Environmental Management Department do to help prevent these types of contamination incidents from happening? Since 1987, we've worked with local water purveyors in protecting their system from backflow contamination. We're contracted to ensure that facilities and operators install the appropriate level of backflow protection at their facility, that they have those plumbing appurtenances tested every year or more often if needed, and that certified backflow testers are the folks who go out and perform those tests to make sure that they meet standard operating conditions and procedures. In doing that, we have a large paper issue. In 1987, our backflow device inventory was approximately 1,000. Now we have 15,000, and that is a lot of staff hours and resources to make sure that all of those things are put into place appropriately. Over 4,000 hours are required every year to manage those paper-based processes. 75,000 pieces of printed paper are required in the various notices, test reports, correspondence, faxes, and auto imaging that we use. We were starting to see that program cost recovery was becoming an issue. Because of that, we had to find a way to simplify our processes, streamline operations, and contain program costs. Now we come to our portal. It's an innovative process or program that helps us streamline operations, improve customer service, and give public greater access to data. From the program side, we've saved over 3,000 annual staff hours since rolling the portal out. We've also saved over 60,000 pieces of paper. That paper translation goes to $4,000 in mailing costs that have been saved. How did we get there? There was a lot of work, I will tell you that, in getting it up and running, but we have something now that we're very proud of, and I'm excited to share that information with you today. The first thing that we did was take a look at our existing workflows for the program. In this slide, it's an example of our annual testing reminder letter and test report process. If you see here at the very top, staff would create a reminder letter and test report for each backflow assembly using Envision Connect. They'd then print it out, make a copy that was then sent to our water agency staff who contract with us, as well as to our imaging staff for our electronic archiving system. The original was mailed off to the site operator, who then contracts with a backflow tester to come out to the site and perform the backflow test. Once the backflow tester has completed their field inspection, they fill out a paper test report form that documents any site changes as well as the device test results. Once they bring that in, either by fax, by mail, or in person, administrative staff receive the paperwork and then review it for any discrepancies and to make sure that it's in compliance with the University of Southern California's backflow protection standards. If everything is good, staff enter the report data into Envision Connect so that the assembly resets to the next year. The test reports are then copied. One that goes to our imaging staff for the electronic archiving process, and an additional copy is sent off to our water agency staff. You can see in that workflow that there is a ton of paper required for one assembly. And over the course of many years, you're looking at tons and tons of paper entries. To move away from that paper-based process, we really went to the drawing board to see who was doing what and how they were doing it. The first group of stakeholders we looked at were our backflow testers. What did they do? And as I showed you in the previous slide, they're the ones who do the field inspection and provide us those field test results. They're really the eyes and ears of the system, and they can notify us if a business has changed names, if the device is missing, or if there is inaccurate information about the description, as well as update the site location. Backflow testers are also annually required to register with the Environmental Management Department, and that way we know if their test equipment is calibrated and current, if any of their related certification documents are current as well. Next, we looked at our water agency stakeholders. What did they need from our program? Well, the first thing that they like to have is a copy of the test reports for each assembly. After a device has been tested, we would provide them a copy so that they could review it for their own records. We also notify our water agency reps of any failed devices in the system that may need to be taken care of immediately, as well as non-compliant operators. The operators themselves, if name changes or changes of ownership, we provide them that information as well for their bookkeeping purposes. In looking at developing the portal, we wanted to look at ways that we could simplify this. There was so many copies of paper going back and forth. Our notification process needed to be updated, as well as giving them a quicker way to access this data. For in-house program staff, an extreme amount of time is required to track these devices. As I think I've shown, that level of paperwork for one assembly, it was getting a bit, it was taking a lot of resources. The paper-based monitoring and tracking for these assemblies takes staff resources, and not just program administrative staff, but our imaging staff, program specialists. The paper-based tester registration process is like any type of application process that you have. Testers would previously come in, request an application, fill it out with a pen or pencil, give us copies of their certification documents, and then they would go over to our cashiering staff to pay for their fees. The turnaround time based on workload could be within 72 hours. Those program fees, tester registrations, as well as our annual Backflow assembly testing permit tag, those were handled through our cashiering staff. With all of those different hands involved with the Backflow assembly testing program, we really had to look at a way to reduce those staff hours and resources. With the portal, data entry has been virtually eliminated. Everything is built into the system. That document archiving process I talked about earlier has been markedly reduced. Our tester registration processing times, they're really on immediate. If the tester logs into the portal, they're able to self-manage their system and get their account up and running virtually that moment. All program fees are also paid online. They can purchase our annual Backflow tag and their registrations online and have that sent over to them within the next business day. All of this would not be possible if it were not for the help of our IT staff and partners. Our in-house information technology staff really helped in putting all of the pieces together from the program perspective and the programming perspective. We were able to list out what our needs are, how the program worked, and look at a way that was not overly burdensome. We've also worked with Decade for many, many years, as with other environmental health agencies, and we're a very proud partner in having something rolled out that is intuitive, simple, and dramatically helps contain costs and simplify workloads. E-Compliance is the contractor who helped develop the platform as well. And what I can tell you is by working with all three of these groups, we have something that we're very proud of. It's very innovative, and it is something that other environmental health agencies will be able to benefit from. Transitioning to the portal. After reviewing everything, the different workloads, who was involved, and putting those pieces together, we rolled it out. On September 4th, the portal went online. and I can tell you that it's been a very successful product. One of the ways to measure that success is looking at the reduction in staff workload and the revised processes that are involved. In this particular example, I'm going to go back to the annual reminder letter process and test report process. And in this slide, you can see the red highlighted areas and the yellow highlighted areas are programs, staff, and processes that have been eliminated. Through that reduction or elimination, a tremendous amount of hours and paper has been saved. The process for our operators has also been streamlined. So when staff run the reports within Envision Connect and mail them out to the operator, those new forms that we send our operators are a simplified version that lets them know things have changed. We now have an electronic portal that your tester will be using for compliance tracking. The imaging process, as well as water agency representative review of those documents, is all in one spot. In-house staff, water agency staff, and our Backflow testers all can log into the portal and review the different compliance documentation that's been submitted. This is an example of what the tester homepage looks like. As you can see, it's something that is very user-friendly and intuitive. When a tester logs in, their name is going to show up in the upper right-hand corner of the screen to remind them of their account number and to verify that who they are. These 6 different buttons, if you will, in the center of the screen really represent the previous paper processes that Backflow testers would use. The one that's used the most is our Manage Backflow device. So anytime they go out and test an assembly, instead of filling out a piece of paper, they're going to utilize that workflow to submit the test result information to our department. They can also go in and add any new device that may be out in the system. Moving over to the blue button under View Reports, testers can go in and look at previously electronic submitted copies of test reports. That's super helpful in looking at it from a user tool to help improve customer service. It's really a free bookkeeping service, if you will, for our testers. They can log in, see when they tested an assembly, and print out an electronic copy for their customer. The green button on View and Update My Contact Information allows testers to go online and update their cell phone number, their email address, if they've moved, etc. Something that is really helpful and has helped reduce staff time is the My Certification tab. Previously, Backflow testers would submit a paper application and wait to receive a confirmation notice from our department. Now, testers can log into the portal, view, renew, and pay for their annual tester registration, as well as upload and update their American Water Works Association Backflow Tester Certificate and their Field Test Kit Calibration Report form. For the Environmental Management Department, we require operators to affix an annual Backflow testing tag to their assembly once it passes testing. Backflow testers are the folks who go in and pay for those and affix them to the assembly. Here, they no longer have to come to our office to pick them up. They can click on the purple button. They'll be led to our payment website where they can enter the number of tags that they need and have them mailed directly to their site. If a tester comes onto the Backflow tester portal and doesn't know what to do or they're lost, we have some very helpful documents in the lower right-hand corner, which include instruction documentation, as well as some frequently asked questions. Our contact information is also available at that tab. For our water agency representatives, the view is a little bit different, but the tools are the same. they can log in using their specific account information and look at, number one, test report form. On the right-hand side of the screen, you see what the pre-printed or electronic test report form looks like. It has the facility contact info, the owner information, as well as the field test result numbers. It also has the date that the test was performed. And what I think is a really helpful tool, this is new, is at the very bottom of the test report form. It tells you the day that this test result information was electronically submitted to our department. For enforcement purposes, that field alone has been huge in really improving our compliance rate. For facility operators, this is the document that says you're in compliance. No longer can testers go in and scan the system and say, well, I faxed the paperwork over to EMD, I don't know what happened. This is the proof. Also, Backflow testers, when they submit their information to the portal, water agency representatives are able to log in and see real-time test data. This is extremely helpful for reviewing failed backflow assembly tests. They can go in, and if something was submitted earlier in the day, the info is there for you in real time. That has been very, very helpful for our program and for our water agency stakeholders. For our EMD staff, there's a lot of tools that are available, but some that I want to highlight right now is looking at those issues that have helped streamline our program. For brand new backflow assembly, no longer are we receiving handwritten or scribbled test report forms. Everything is available on the portal. We're able to go in and search, is it a legitimate new assembly or is it a duplicate assembly of something that was previously in the system? Also, we can look at different field comments that testers submit to us. Was something defective? What was defective? Or was there a change of ownership? All of those fields are here for any program staff to review. Also, we have the tester registration process, which I've touched on several times, but so that you can see it, if a tester were to log in and submit paperwork, it's recorded in a portal. We can go in and view the documentation they submitted and approve it. All of these things independently are very cool, but together, what they really help our program staff achieve is a one-stop shop. It's a streamlined center that any EMD staff can go in and view. When you have a paper-based process, there are times when a test report may be on one particular staff member's desk or a tester application is in someone's inbox. We're not going to know that. With the portal, everyone is viewing the exact same thing. That has helped us dramatically turn around our processing rate, as well as help simplify any confusion regarding where a document is. Now what I'd like to do is show you what it looks like for a tester to log into the portal and use the system using a few examples. This is the EMD portal homepage, which is also shared with our third program, the CCDEH side. Where backflow testers come into the site, their username is their email address. Their password is something that is set automatically, and they can go in later and change it. When a tester logs in, here's that home screen that we looked at earlier. I want to walk through really the most important piece of this portal, or heavily used, I should say, and that is entering in a backflow assembly test report. As you know, in Envision Connect, each record is given or assigned a unique record ID. For the Backflow program, that is the Backflow Device ID number or BD number. Each of those is unique. And when we send out our annual testing reminder notices, there's a list of each facility and the corresponding backflow assemblies at that site. Each one has its corresponding BD number or serial number. A tester would log in and search for that record using the BD number or the serial number. Once they locate the particular assembly record, this gives them a snapshot of what we have on file. They can quickly see, is this the right assembly? Did I grab the right BD number? Here's the serial number. Does it match up with what my field inspection says? And is this the correct facility street address? If all of this is good, they're going to go to Add Test. On this form, all of the information that was previously handwritten on the paper test report forms is on this form as well, in just a more simplified manner. As you can see, it gives the assembly information at the top of the page. It includes their name, the backflow tester's name, their tester ID number, and the date that they're entering this data. That's also the date that will be printed out on the test report form. Testers are going to go in, put the date that they tested the assembly. If it passed, they're going to select Pass. And then there's a field for the assembly tag. That is something that EMD again uses to make sure if we're out in the field, we can drive by and make sure that that assembly was tested. The date and a variety of other things are included on those little tags. Each one of those tags has an alphanumeric number. And then they're going to enter in their field test results. They enter in that information and hit Save Changes. What I want to show you here is for each type of device, be it a reduced pressure principal assembly, a double check valve, or a pressure vacuum breaker, they all have particular values that are acceptable. If a tester goes in and says an assembly passed, but enters in testing values that are not in conformance with the University of Southern California's backflow testing manual, they're going to be notified right up front. This warning box tells them that, as entered, the test will fail. It gives them an opportunity to look at their paperwork and see if things typed, or if these are the field testing results, they know that they need to change the status from passed to failed. So in this case, I hit the wrong button. Once the data has been saved, the tester can print out an electronic copy of the test report form for their own records or to include with their invoice from their customer. As you can see, the assembly information prints out at the top of the screen. The facility information, the owner information is there as well. They can verify, is this what's on file? Is this who's paying for this test? And the passing test result information populates on the form. The submittal date is at the bottom, and they can print this out if they like or save it for later. Once they're done, they can go back in and enter in another backflow device test result. In some cases, something has happened at the site. Either they repaired it, something failed and it was fixed, or the information is not correct. A tester can go into the portal and update information. Previously, any type of fix, if you will, to a record was done manually. It would be scribbled on a piece of paper, or they would call in and say the serial number was incorrect. Now we've automated this feature, which allows them to make simple updates very quickly. In this case, let's say the serial number was wrong. I got out in the field and I saw that this was the serial number. Everything else looks good. And I make a small adjustment here, and I hit Save Changes. Once I've saved those changes, if I wanted to go in and add a test result, I'm pushed back to the test result form, and I can go through that procedure I showed you earlier. Testers can view previously submitted test results. They're all banked on the portal. They can go in and print different copies. They can update their contact information, very simply. Another very important feature of the portal is the ability to look at their certification records. As you can see on the screen, their AWWA Certified Backflow Tester certificate, their EMD registration, and their field test kit calibration are all visible online. The most important thing, in my opinion, is the ability to look at the expiration date. Previously, we would manually track those expiration dates and send letters letting testers know you have 60 days before a given certificate is going to expire, as well as if we didn't receive anything from the tester, letting them know that their registration was expired. A lot of staff time just for that particular workflow. Testers can now go in, view this at any time, and self-manage their account. They can also update their field test kit calibration report forms by entering in the calibration date and submitting an electronic copy of that form. For the registration process, I won't go through it all the way, but just to show you, a backflow tester can see that their current expiration date, when it's coming, and they can renew online. If they go through this particular step, they're led to our online payment process where they pay for the fees, and then they're brought back to the portal to get a copy of their updated certification form. Here. Now I'd like to show you what staff look at when they log in. This is what the home page looks like for the cross-connection administrative staff. There's a lot of different features that they can look at and utilize. Right now I'm going to show you one way you can help speed up processes in-house. As you can see, there's a variety of different ways to view data. These different columns can be sorted for your purposes. One of the reporting features is looking at failed devices. This is very helpful in looking at things for a given range. In this particular case, if I wanted to review this week's failed test report submittals, I would pull the report down and take a look at those particular failed test results. You can sort this information by the input date or the test date. In any event, you can see this is a very useful tool to have. Our water agency representatives also see this exact same data, and they can query the test results for their purposes. In this case, we're able to see that yesterday there were 4 failed devices. We have the data in our hand now, and then we can move forward with our Envision Connect processes to let these operators know that they need to get the assembly repaired and back into compliance. Another report that you can look at well, there's no comments to look at, but you have the ability to look at any types of changes or field notes that the Backflow tester makes. The most common one is a change of ownership or a business name change. This particular report pulls those items up, and you can quickly review records to make sure that everything, one, is accurate, and two, update Envision Connect accordingly. Lastly, I'm going to show you what our water agencies are able to look at. Very similar to the cross-connection program staff view, limited in some ways. They are able to view the devices within their jurisdiction as well as the test results. Where this is helpful is if you're a field inspector and you want to know, I'm going to be going out to the field later today and I want to see what's in compliance or what's due in a given area. Here in Sacramento, there's a large street that's called Watt Avenue, so I'll use that as an example. What a water agency person will now be able to do is, and there's a variety of results you can put per page, up to 500, is look at everything that's located on Watt Avenue. This is different than the tester view, which is limited to either the pre-populated Backflow device record ID or serial number. For a water agency field rep, they're not going to necessarily have the serial number for viewing. They do know streets, and this gives them a way to quickly look at regional data quickly and efficiently. Let's take a look at this one as an example. I'm a tester, or I'm sorry, a water agency representative. I can pull up a record and see, okay, when was this tested? Who tested it? Is it the same person over time? What's the history for a given assembly? Has it always passed? Or are we starting to see a trend where it's failing every year or every other year? That helps them communicate with that site operator that perhaps this assembly is going to have to be replaced outright. Apologize. Okay. Now that we've looked at what the portal looks like, how it works, I want to come back and touch on some related upgrades for the portal. Earlier, I discussed the annual testing reminder letter and test report process. Part of that manually driven process was taking copies of the documentation, scanning it, and then imaging it for our archiving system. Now, with the portal, as well as through Envision Connect, each record has a unique barcode that is printed on the bottom of each page. So for our annual testing reminder letters, there's a barcode that's printed out, and it's auto-imaged. That has drastically removed or reduced staff time spent on scanning pieces of paper. They don't have to do it at all, period. For our test report forms, when something's entered through the portal, and it's been approved, a barcode will be affixed to the bottom of the form below the submittal date. Every Friday we have an in-house process that QA/QCs the data and then auto-uploads it into our electronic archiving system. Another related upgrade is the way that we notify operators of the annual testing requirements. Previously, the way our system was set up was a one-to-one relationship. So for each Backflow device, there would be one letter and a test report form. Depending on the number of letters that we sent out for any given device, you're looking at a ton of paper. What we've been able to do is change that relationship from the one-to-one with a device to a relationship based on the owner for that account. So for any given owner, in this example, it's Holcomb Property Management, they get one notice every year. The language on the cover page is basically the same with some program-specific data, but they're given a compliance grid. It lists out each of their businesses, and underneath each business or facility is the number of devices for that given site. You can imagine how this really helps improve or simplifies paperwork processes because everything's on one form. We're able to go down and check off each assembly and really be able to see what they have within their system. It dramatically reduces lost paperwork. You only have one letter to track. And so if you have something like a large apartment complex with 30 devices, this is very helpful. There's a lot of benefits with using the portal. To me, it's very clear that having a one-stop shop or a centralized base for different program partners to use, we're all on the same page. So for testers, their registration, their test report submittals, and all of their fees are paid online. This is really nice if you're out in the field. You can upload test report data right there on the fly in front of the operator. You can also provide that operator verification that the test results were submitted to EMD. This is a really nice feature to be able to provide customers when they're in a non-compliant situation. For our water agency representatives, they have on-the-fly current test result information right in front of them. Also, the record-keeping process is simplified for them. No longer are we shuttling pieces of paper back and forth. We now have everything online in one central location for them to view test reports, compliance documentation, as well as any change in the system. For EMD, the savings are very clear. Our staffing hours, there's been a huge amount of savings, over 3,000 hours annually. We've saved 60,000 pieces of paper from being printed. I haven't calculated how many trees that is, but I'm sure it's a lot, as well as the mailing costs associated with each of those notices going out, $4,000 in the first year. Over time, this program, in developing the portal, it pays for itself, and it's something that we're very, very proud of. I do want to take one brief moment to look at the recognition the portal has already received. We're in a variety of different journals and publications. We're also the proud recipient of the 2013 National Association of Counties Achievement Award, and that was based on the dramatic program savings and procedural streamlining that we were able to achieve and measure. It was dramatic, and again, we're very proud of that, and we thank Decade and eCompliance for helping us really bring this portal to life. We're also a nominee for the 2013 CCDEH Excellence in Environmental Health Award. I hope you'll vote for us after seeing really the dramatic savings and the innovation that the portal brings to the environmental health field. To summarize today, to effectively develop a portal for a cross-connection control program, you want to have all of your workflows accurately mapped out. By knowing who does what and the way that those functions are performed, you'll be able to communicate with IT staff and the developer to get the product that you want. You also want to know, what do I want this portal to achieve? For us, it's not just about direct data entry. That's definitely a part of it, but it's looking at a way to simplify operations and improve services. And really overall, it's a way to improve environmental and public health by increasing public access to data and turning around information in a very quick and efficient manner. A key part of development is engaging, for us, our stakeholders at a very early part of the process. Our water agency representatives and our backflow testers were engaged very early on, and we provided a mock-up to let them see how we were moving. We received a lot of very helpful feedback, and we had ongoing outreach sessions with both parties to make sure that when the portal went live, it was something that all of us had collaborated on. And as you can see, that product is something that's used today very well. 97% of all compliance documentation is through the portal. Once you transition to the portal, there are always going to be bumps in the road. So being able to be adaptable and quick on your feet is a helpful thing to have. Some things that initially we had developed had to be changed and simplified. You also need to be able to provide ongoing user support. New testers come into the system as well as staffing changes, and you have to be able to, as with anything, have a system set up that helps support them to use the portal. As I also showed earlier, the portal was one huge part, but there are other areas that we simplified that were related to the portal. Altogether, we now have something that is very, very efficient and streamlined. That concludes my presentation. I want to thank you. If you have any questions, feel free to call me at the number here on the screen or send me an email.